Hey, it is 9:30, time for the Friday Night Hangout. This is where we grab a brew, shoot the breeze, and interact with you live on the internet. With me tonight, good panel as usual. And before we get started here, just a quick reminder how the Hangouts work. If you're watching live, you can scrub through and rewind. We have a replay that shows up after the Hangout is done, and of course we have the audio-only podcast version of the Hangout for you to download on your favorite podcast listener, Downcast, Stitcher, whatever it is. So let's start out with the rounds of introductions, and we'll go all the way to Wallace, Nova Scotia, where we have Keith Elliott, KeithElliottStone.com with us here tonight. Moving to the Valley, we got Lee, Hoogly's Beer and Booze Reviews on the YouTube. And, of course, I am in Halifax and with you tonight. So we got the topics posted here, and we're trying the new format of the topics where we start local, and then for each story we kind of branch out. But before we get started with that, just a quick shout out to some of our supporters here. Trail Shop here in Halifax. They got their Tuesday Talk series in October scheduled, so check their Facebook page for details. And InReach Canada, they held their Twitter chat hashtag MyWildCanada this week, and you can do a search and bring up some of that stuff. I participated in that, so it was kind of fun. Garrison Brewing, they have their Imperial Pumpkin Ale and Sweet Rye'd available at the privates and at the NSLCs. And we got a few people jumping in, so thanks everybody for jumping in, and we'll get started here with how we normally start, which is what we are drinking tonight. So Keith, what are you drinking tonight, my friend?
Well, I was in the NSLC yesterday and today, and I picked up Nitwit on sale for it was like $2 off, I think, in the NSLC, and I picked up this as well. It's everywhere in the last week. I've seen it everywhere. So
Sweet Rye'd, man. How do you like it?
First time I tasted it was just like 10 minutes ago. I really like it. It's not too sweet. You know, it's not overpowering. Just a nice, I don't know, a little more body to it.
Yeah, no, Lee uploaded his review of the beer, and I'll have mine up on Sunday, so it's pretty good timing there for that. Lee, you kind of liked it, but you weren't overly enthused about it, though.
I didn't find it all that exciting. I mean, it's just it's solid, and it's a little bit out of Garrison's comfort zone, I guess. But it didn't blow me away. For collaboration with a brewery like Bose, I kind of maybe expected a little bit more. That's just me though. So
okay. No, I ran into the brewmaster at Garrison last week at one of the Atlantic Beer Award events, and he had a blast brewing with the brewmaster from Bose, so he was really excited with it, and he particularly liked how the taste profile hits you at different areas of the mouth in terms of the sweetness and the bitterness compared to the rest of the stuff that Garrison does. But anyway, Lee, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking what we just talked about, Sweet Rye'd. Sweet
Rye'd. All right. Well, I am drinking something from our friends over at Sea Level Brewing, the Rojo Mojo Red Ale. What's the other one, Lee, that they do? Like this one, they do a dry hop version of this?
I think they do, yeah. I don't know if they've done it that many times. I think they might have just done it like once or twice special.
Yeah. So anyway, I haven't had this in a little while, so I'll crack this open here, and I was just finishing up my one of my home brews here, so which shall remain nameless. I don't have a name for it. It's just this Imperial thing. Anyway, no biggie. All right, got a number of people watching us. Thanks again, guys. If you want to, or girls, if you want to jump in, you can send us a tweet. We have our Twitter hashtags on our lower thirds. You can also comment on the YouTube, the avoidingchores.com show page, and on Google+. Let's start with the first story, local story, and then we're building out. No charges for a drunk driver who ran over a pedestrian, and this was an 83-year-old guy who was drunk, had liquor in his car. The police seized, ran over this 70-year-old woman. She died later at hospital. No charges on him other than 2 fines, which amassed to, I want to say, $300 without really looking at the story here again. But he got off fairly easy. Basically kill somebody in Nova Scotia on a crosswalk, and you only have to pay a couple $100. Vermont.
And I mean, that's the thing. If you read the article, they say he was not over the .08. He was slightly impaired. He lost his license for a week. But that's beside the point. He killed a person. I've said this to different people before. If you were so inclined to kill somebody, run them over. Chances are you'll just get a slap on the wrist. It just seems the way the legal system's set up that there's no recourse for negligence. There's just out and outright negligence in a vehicle.
Lee, what do you think?
It really sucks because he's getting off on a technicality when really, I mean, who knows how impaired he really was. Just because he blew under the legal limit doesn't mean he wasn't impaired. And also age can play a factor in that too. Like, should this guy have a license at that age? I don't want to sound like an ageist, but I think there should be more stricter controls over who can have a license, especially when they get in their senior years. I mean, as much as I don't want to take driver's licenses away from senior citizens, I mean, it is still it's a privilege. It's not a right. So, and it's one you need to earn.
Yeah, and this reminded me of a similar story a number of years ago in Quebec. Basically the same thing. It's somebody who, for chances are he wasn't drunk in this situation here, but just ran over a pedestrian there, and I think the fine in Quebec was a little bit higher. It was $1,200, but still no manslaughter charges or anything like that. So I don't know if it's especially in Halifax where we have so many pedestrian collisions at the intersections or at the marked crosswalks themselves. I don't know if there needs to be a little bit more stiffer, since they're considering of stiffening the cell phone or texting.
So that's what I was about to say. Well, what would happen if this happened in a place where they didn't have the cell phone law? If someone was on their cell phone and they hit someone, would they get stiffer charges or would they get lesser charges because they weren't technically impaired?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like the discretion of the police force there. So
the bottom line is this guy had no business having open alcohol in his car, and he had no business having alcohol in his system while driving. So.
And I can't remember the time. This was fairly early in the morning too, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Yeah, and I can't remember. Can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, like Lee said, really. And I think a license is a privilege, and people just seem to not care.
And they say they didn't retest them either. They didn't take them back to the station for a second breathalyzer. They just did them on the spot, and then that was it.
He might have been at the station. That happens sometimes.
All right. It's Friday night hangout, kids, where we grab a brew, shoot the breeze, and talk about some of the stories that came out in the last week or so. We're doing this back in the old school days, where we start local and then we branch out, casting our net wider and wider. And we'll do one more story, and then we'll start to check the comments. You can comment via Twitter, YouTube, Google+, or at avoidingchores.com. Our friendly staff will be there to field your comments and relay them live. A cruise ship season in Halifax, guys. We're getting over the next little while like 30,000 passengers coming off with their winter parkas because temperature has dropped below 20 and they're all going to freeze their asses off. So
it's a terrible situation because they're not going to have as much Moosehead beer to drink as soon as they walk right off the boat, eh?
Well, a place that always gets hammered and is Garrison. As soon as the cruise ship passengers get off the boat and get past the initial kiosks and bus tours in Halifax, what do they see right in front of them? Garrison Brewing. So I guess last week when they had 10,000 passengers, they had 3 ships docked on the same day, and I guess it was just pandemonium down there. But
good for the city.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Some people poo-poo the idea of cruise ships coming in there, but if we had Carrie on tonight there, Carrie would probably mention how the small number of cruise ships that do stop in Sydney help the local economy, the boardwalk. Not a lot of people, not a lot of the locals walk down the boardwalk in downtown Sydney, but you get people walking down the boardwalk in Halifax for sure instead.
I mean, they're not clogging up the streets with cars. They're here for a few hours. They dump a bunch of money and they leave. It's perfect.
Yeah.
As far as businesses are concerned, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's great. And for buses, bus tours, all the excursion people, it's great.
It's great for the shoulder season, too. I mean, October's been the busiest year the last 2 or 3 years. Perfect.
Speaking of shoulder season, our Nova Star ferry is in the news again. Can't help not be in the news, and it's never for a good reason. First thing is they were able to secure an off-season job, so the ferry is still running over the winter. They're probably more down south. They didn't necessarily say what route they were doing. However, there was a story there which I didn't link here, but it looks like they did not do very well with food safety while on the ship. The American CDA, not FDA, CDA, whatever agency that handles with food, they did an inspection and they scored like in the 50 out of 100, where the average is like 80. So they did really, really bad in terms of food preparation and stuff like that, and a whole bunch of other issues, which we were not, aware of on the Nova Scotia side of things because of the propaganda to say how the ferry to Maine was good. But if you're looking to charge up your cell phone or your video camera, and all the outlets are European outlets, it's a little problem.
Yeah. Come for the food, stay for the Legionnaire's disease.
And
can't plug in your cell phone.
Jeez.
It's not good.
And we always got next season. Hopefully they'll.
Why don't we just throw all of our tax dollars out on a wooden raft and set it afire out in the ocean? It's pretty much the same thing.
We'll probably get as much social media hits than the amount of money they put in, for sure. Let's do a quick check on the comments, guys. Just let all the viewers know that you can send us a tweet, leave a comment on avoidingchores.com. Lee's going to check that out. And then we got Keith. He's checking out the comments on the YouTube. So let's start with Lee. Lee, what we got on the Avoiding Chores page?
Yeah, we got our friend Bluefin on here. He says, hey, gang, he's just got in from the airport. He spent a few days in Ontario for some work training. He posted a photo on G+ of a lovely beer he had in Toronto Airport earlier this afternoon. I enjoyed it. He enjoyed a dinner and a Hoegaarden beer with a friend. It was good.
Nice.
Yeah. This is a bonus week home for me, as I'm usually back to work this week, but due to training, I will go back on Monday, so that's awesome.
All right, good stuff, Mike.
Yeah. He just got to the beer fridge, and he thinks he'll have a President's Choice IPA he picked up in Ontario earlier in August. It is a good beer, he says, and I agree with him. It is a good beer, especially for a budget beer. It's actually pretty damn awesome for a budget beer.
Do you know who makes that? Or
that would the President's Choice IPA? I believe that is Brick Brewing, or at least Brick Brewing under a different name. I think does that one. So, and he also says, how is it possible to murder someone when you are impaired and not get charged? It is murder. It is a choice to drink and drive. It is not an accident.
Exactly. All right, Keith, what have we got on the YouTube?
Nothing yet, believe it or not.
What?
What?
Wow. Everybody just...
Nothing's fair. It's
everybody's there just agreeing, or they're using us as the second screen between commercial breaks of there must be a hockey game on.
Oh, here's some comments.
Oh, okay.
I have some comments. Here we go. Slow Rover says, "Evening, boys. Just enjoying a roast stack smoked dunk ale from Bose.
Oh, nice.
Went on an event last weekend. Going to miss most of the hangout tonight. Have to head out to Jack Astor's for a birthday. Probably end up having to share a picture of Canadian. The price of friendship. LOL." He says. And he said, if they dumped money they spend on the ferry and the water, they would have built a friggin' causeway to Maine. I like that one. That's good. And GC Storm says, "Hey everyone, stop by, see it. Everyone fill my growlers with Punkin Grinner Ale. Jim, I think the other red you're referring to is the El Diablo."
El Diablo, that's it.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Roger.
Okay, that's it for comments for now.
All right, good stuff. All right, got the regular commenters on. Thanks, guys, for jumping in. Always good to have your comments there. All right, let's move on to the next topic here, and this is just a sad post that was on, I think, the Chronicle Herald or whatever earlier this week. There's a new report that paints a bleak picture of challenges that the Nova Scotia youth are facing. So this is the youth that couldn't move to Alberta. These are the people under 35. Is it 35 they said? That are stuck in Nova Scotia, like the rest of us. It's not good.
It's
yeah. It's
is really going down. Generationally, starting.
Oh, like I don't know, it's the news story that kind of did the fear mongering, but 10% of youth aged 15 to 24 have thought about suicide in the last year. That's much higher than the national average, which is at 5.8%.
Well, we got these last couple generations now where they're worse off than when their parents were.
Yeah.
Like you get out of college and you're in massive debt and you've got training for a job that isn't available in Nova Scotia, but you have no way of getting out west to actually do anything. And you look at, and a lot of these people, it's not a happy thing to say, but a lot of kids these days come from broken homes. Their parents, maybe they did well in business and stuff, but families break up. What kind of pictures does that paint for people? It's like, is this my future? Even if I do get a great job, am I going to be happy anyways? Like, what am I going to do with my life in this world?
I totally agree with you on that one. The top 3 provinces that the young people went in 2013, over a third, 34% went to Alberta, 30% went to Ontario, and for some reason 12% went to New Brunswick. So I guess they wanted to be a little less sad about their lives.
A little less sad.
I mean, things are tough here regardless. You can't blame people for going out west, but the education system's broken.
Yeah.
They just rob people blind for a degree or diploma that guarantees nothing. There's either no job here or they've oversaturated that trade or profession with so many people that not everybody's going to find a job no matter where they go. They have no accountability. They're a big business and they're in it to make money. And at the end of the day, they do not care about the result. People like you, they're in debt up to their eyeballs and they have to take anything just to put food in their mouths. And
yeah, no, a great example would be all the electricians that they kind of pump through the NSCC over the last few years. So the ship starts here, and we're 3 years down the road, and what?
Ship start where?
Yeah, well, not here. Hey, in the report here, they talk about the cost. We've talked about this. The cost of Nova Scotia is a lot higher than it is in Canada. So, water, fuel, and electricity for residents in Nova Scotia, they have this average price of almost $3,000. Is that a month? Must be by year. Yeah, it must be by year. The average in Canada is $2,300. So, we pay 26% more for water, fuel, and electricity for our residents. A landline telephone is 25% more expensive here in Nova Scotia than it is the rest of Canada. And internet is 5% more expensive than the rest of Canada.
When a lot of these kids go to college, what's the jobs that are available to them? Some sort of minimum wage job somewhere, even full time. You're only making like $20,000 a year. So there's like half your take after taxes.
Oh yeah.
Right there.
And we talk about schools, and we talk about school boards, diminishing classroom sizes, and schools going to have to get closed, and kids getting bussed down. Like you look at the change since 2006. So that is 7 years. 7 years. We look at Cape Breton. Enrollment dropped by 23%. The Valley is down 17%. South Shore is down 18%. Tri-County is 21%. So it's if you want to be depressed, go read this report. We have it linked here on the show page here, so you can just go scroll through that at the bottom and have a beer, because that's I don't know.
And of course, there's deeper issues about just how mental health is treated and taken over. But that's kind of like a 40-minute rabbit hole right there.
Oh my God, yes. Oh yeah, totally. So, but other than that, the ferry is running great to Maine. It's awesome.
So that's what I've heard. I've heard everything's all good.
No. So yeah, it's kind of, if you want another eye-opening report, that's another one there to kind of drill into the fact there that now, and really, think about it, it's not just Nova Scotia. Like he said earlier, it's New Brunswick, it's PI, it's maybe not Newfoundland now. Now the oil is flowing in, but it definitely was Newfoundland at some point.
It's most of the have-not provinces, the ones that have the worst struggle and are taxed the most and have the highest cost of living. It's like compared to their income.
Exactly. All right, so we're at that point of the show there where we're gonna do a quick word about some of our supporters here. We got the PICAROONS. Kerry was here tonight. He'd be having a PICAROONS. They have their Harvest Ale out right now. Some of their upstream is slowly selling out across shelves in New Brunswick. Hell Bay Brewing, they have some new merchandise out at the store at the brewery in Liverpool. So if you're passing by, you can stop by and check that out. And North Brewing, they're finishing up the last bit of their Many Hands collaboration brew with Box and Rock, and they have a number of barrels with their that they're aging with some brew inside for their next seasonal, which is gonna be close to Christmas or after Christmas. I can't remember exactly. Roger kind of mentioned it in the comments here that the Sea Level, the Pumpkin Grinner Ale is out. You can get that in growler format at the pub or down in Wolfville, and that's about it in terms of news from our supporters here. Let's do a quick check of comments here. We'll get the voice to refresh the page. Just a reminder for everybody watching here, if you want to watch the replay will start in about 15-20 minutes once we're done. We also have the audio-only version of the podcast that will be online over the weekend, so you can download that and listen to that while you're going to work, at work, on the bus, working out. It's endless. You just need headphones. All right, Lee, what have we got on Wood and Shores?
Let's see. One more from Bluefin here. He says PCIPA is brewed by Whitewater Brewing in Kitchener, Ontario. Although I think they at the very least they do their brewing through the Waterloo Creek.
Okay. That's good.
I seem to recall that they do. Maybe I'm wrong.
Excellent. Keith, anything on the YouTube?
Beer Guy Review says seniors can just wait for the Google self-driving cars to come out. They're patient people anyway. Says, why would anyone want to move to Ontario?
Yeah, why? Who wants to go to Sandy Hill in Ottawa, for example?
They got good beer up there. That's about it.
Got to drive across town. Hell with that. Anyway. Any other comments, Keith?
That's it for now.
Just doing like a random Ottawa neighborhood in the downtown. So could have been Bank Street, could have been whatever. All right, let's move on to the next topic here. Man, I don't know what it is. It's serious topics tonight, even though we're casting the net wide. New Brunswick now, the RCMP officer, you guys must have seen that on the news, who got more or less kicked out of the force because he was eating brownies with medical marijuana for his PTSD, killed himself this week. And I don't want to say the RCMP is kind of whitewashing it there, but they're suddenly caring about PTSD, not necessarily on the fact that he was trying to medicate himself and
the fact was
there. What was that, Keith?
Wasn't he smoking in uniform?
No, I think it was eating the brownies in uniform.
Smoking a joint in uniform.
No, I think it was eating. I thought at one point he was saying that he was making brownies. He was eating the brownies in uniform, but he could have been doing both too. So
I mean, post-traumatic stress syndrome, or whatever, it's not being taken very seriously in law enforcement or the military or anywhere. It's it doesn't exist as far as they're concerned, because what the people do when they came home from the Second World War, they drank themselves into oblivion for 30 years. A lot of them did that, and
Well, that's exactly it, and that's exactly the point I was going to make, Keith, was that back in World War II, they called that shell-shocked, and think back what movies where at one point a character gets shell-shocked and he's just like a vegetable in the movie. Like, I know we can think of a few scenes there, and I'm sure Jude Law was one of them or whatever.
But usually John Wayne comes around and slaps him in the face and get out, shake yourself out of it, there, kid.
Yeah.
Princess.
Yeah, and then suddenly gets blown up by walking over a mine or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't really until like Vietnam and the Korean War where you had more media indented or implemented into the actual field of combat, where you actually started getting reports about how war really was. It's like they could whitewash it in World War II because there was lots of propaganda back then.
Maybe a good movie there was Deer Hunter.
Deer Hunter, yeah, that was one of the first ones.
Yeah, but back to the story here. So, we're talking about somebody who was. It's that gray area where, government has said, a doctor, you may prescribe marijuana to people to deal with their illness, PTSD, cancer, whatever it is. But we have the RCMP saying, well, the law is the law.
Well, they said that first responders, the rate of suicide now is just going up and up and up. First responders?
Yeah, I heard 13 died that committed suicide in a very short period of time this year.
And mental health, people just, it's like they want to see broken bones or blood or something before they will believe it's an issue.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of disgusting, really.
People just don't treat depression and stuff like that as with respect. I mean, it's because they haven't experienced it themselves. They can't understand it. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Exactly. So it's pretty sad story here. Hopefully, something will come out of it. And his fight wasn't necessary for nothing there. So, and I'm sure he's not the only one in the RCMP that's battling with demons and such like that. So, speaking of demons, some guy was on an airplane, said that he had Ebola, and then people with suits came in and.
I saw that. That was crazy.
6 Canadian cities will start screening or basically asking people, were you in Liberia lately? Some people are saying that won't work. I think it's safe to say people are starting to get kind of antsy with the Ebola. Before, we mentioned this last time. Before, when it was on Africa, I said, hey, that's in Africa. Won't reach us. Then all of a sudden, this dude in Dallas, he died this week there.
He lied, apparently. When he got on the plane, he lied about where he'd been.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, right? And I was going to say, wasn't the passport tell you a bit where the person went with stamps and stuff, like and electronic passports that they scan in and tells you basically everything. Like, you would think there'd be some red flags on the computer system by now, or
especially the way the Americans are now clamping down on who comes in and out of the country via that sort of transportation. I mean, post 9/11 or whatever, you think they'd have a handle on that sort of stuff, but they don't. But I think it's a gross overreaction as well, because you see in the news now for the last little while. Everybody who is against the current administration and the government is like, they're not doing enough. They're not doing enough to protect our country from this dangerous outbreak of Ebola. One person in the U.S. has been confirmed infected and died of Ebola.
How many people died from the flu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the reason they're dying in Africa is because they don't have the health care that we do.
Well, and you're right, but I don't think, at the same time, I think that if they do want to get a handle on it, if it gets serious, they won't. It'll be too late. It just seems like the government, when it comes to a lot of things, they drag their feet.
The thing is that I don't see a situation where it'd really get serious over here compared to Africa.
Not here, no, I agree.
Oh yeah, however, that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if something happening in Vancouver or Toronto or Montreal at some point, because as Lee mentioned there earlier, you're coming in at customs. Were you in Liberia? No, I wasn't, or whatever country in Africa that's a hot spot. What do you want to do? You don't usually want to say yes, but then you get quarantined for a month. But that's what's going to have to happen there. But you think
they'll have to do it. Haven't they watched these outbreak movies? Come on.
Dustin Hoffman, he ain't going to be saving us. But but it's the same thing as the nurses who don't immunize against the flu virus working in hospitals. Less than around 40% of nurses in Nova Scotia.
Don't you find that high?
That is ridiculously high. That is, I don't want to go to hospital. I don't why are you frontline staff?
I mean, it's hard to take somebody seriously if that's their profession and they don't believe it.
Exactly. So what the hell did you watch on Dr. Oz or The View that makes you want to think that your job, you don't need to take a flu shot, right?
Well, but it's just like, no belief in what they do or their product. It's like, oh, here, try this great beer that I made, but I don't drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not getting vaccinated, you're endangering people. It's as simple as that,
right.
Really.
Yeah. Herd immunity.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, and that's why we see all these. I don't know if you guys saw that article. Was it not whooping cough, but there's another, what we thought was an extinct child disease that's coming back up again because people are not, giving the kids the shot.
That's the reason. There's this big, scary anti-vax movement, and it's starting to let these diseases start to creep up again. That's all there is to it.
That's been going on for a while too. Went to Holland 10 years ago, and Krista had to get a vaccination for, I think it was mumps. There was a mumps outbreak over there because there's a fundamentalist religious group that would not vaccinate, and of course they were the source of the outbreak.
Yeah, it's usually those groups too that are responsible too. Buggers. All right, Friday night hangout, kids. Where we grab a brew, shoot the breeze. Before we do another round of comments, let's talk about the brews that we're drinking here. I'll start here, and the boys refers to the pages. I am drinking the Sea Level Rojo Mojo Red Ale. It's a nice malty beer, 5.2%. Really nice. As Roger mentioned in the comments, they do the El Diablo version, which I think is 6.66%.
Yeah.
Dry hop or wet hop, I can't remember. I only had it it was almost 2 years ago, so I hope they do another batch of that, so I really missed that. Lee, what are you drinking tonight?
I have switched to Saint Amboise pumpkin beer.
Oh, nice. Is that one of your favorites, or?
I like it. It's not I wouldn't say it's one of my. Honestly, I'm not that big on pumpkin beers to begin with. So.
Was it Big Spruce? They're pushing hard their new pumpkin beer that they just got out, so that they smoked and such. Keith, what we got for? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking the Sweet Ride. Whoa. The Sweet Ride. Rose Garrison collaboration.
And how you liking that?
Good. It's all right. Yeah.
Now that it's
I don't find it changes much as you keep drinking it. Some beers they kind of get a little easier to drink, a little harder to drink. I don't find it changes. Just
Okay. Cool. Good stuff. All right. Let's do a quick check on comments. Let's go to Lee. What we got on comments on the Voting Chores there?
Nothing new.
Nothing new. All right. Let's switch over to Keith. What we got on YouTube, Keith?
Nothing new, believe it or not.
Nothing new. Oh, well, we do have a number of people watching. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, too. A number of ways you can contact us, and we'll read your comments here. You can interact via Twitter, YouTube, at votingchores.com, and, of course, on the Google Plus page. Let's move on to the next story, which doesn't necessarily have a link, but you can Google that. Hockey season has started, and we're all sports fans here. Do you have your Rogers account? Because that is probably going to be the only way that you're going to be able to watch a hockey game. And this is the beginning of the whole new agreement with NHL and Rogers, Sportsnet, and all that stuff. They got cameras everywhere, channels. You can stream online as long as you are a Rogers customer. Other than that, you're out of luck. And since nobody here is a hockey fan, we can.
You need Rogers for everything that seems when it comes to sports, I think.
Well, yeah, they've been paying anything. But I think the reason why I put the story down here is the trend that some of these networks or channels or cable distributors, they're going streaming. They're going. You can stream online, but you still have got to be a cable provider. Well, I cut the cord.
There's no online streaming.
Yeah, I cut the cord, and I still want to watch stuff that comes over the air. I can, use my fractal antenna and but I want to watch it in bed on my iPad. Can I?
They're missing both.
Can I bring in CTV? No, CTV. You gotta be a cable subscriber to stream it on your iPad, or CBC. CBC is just as worse too. They got these. Hoops you got to jump through here, so and Global too. Global got their Global. So
but they want to keep the chokehold on us, the cable companies. I know that for sure. They don't even want us to watch things online. They want you to pay your $40, $60, $120 a month.
Yeah.
Just for fun, I was looking at in the States you can get the WWE Network online.
Yeah.
For
here you have to buy this a subscription service.
You have to subscribe for it here through Rogers, and it's not on demand. You can't watch what you want to watch. You have to watch it like a TV channel.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they've just alienated a bunch of people who'd be interested in anything.
Yeah.
It's so backwards.
And we'll be talking about this again here in a couple of stories here about CRTC and all that stuff. But yeah, networks, cable companies, man, they want to keep control to the very end. They're fighting tooth and nail, and
I think it's going to bite them in the ass.
Oh, I think so too.
Hard.
WWE had so much potential too to make a different Canadian-centric network. Like they could have came in the usual route and had the Canadian content thing apply to them. They have tons of famous Canadian wrestlers. They have tons of video libraries with Canadian wrestlers. They could direct their programming specifically towards Canada because if anything, they've been ignoring.
I would have signed up for a trial for that.
Yeah, they've been ignoring their Canadian audience now for better part of 15 years or more.
Yeah.
And they could really recapture the Canadian audience that really thirsts for some old school wrestling and stuff like that. They could really center their programming on this side of the border for their network.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because right before the hangout, I was on YouTube looking up old clips from the wrestling that I watched when I was a kid was coming out of Quebec, out of Montreal. So Edouard Carpentier and all that stuff. So it was WWF or E Farm. So Dino Bravo, Rick Martel, Andre the Giant. That's where he started out first. And anyway, I was watching King Tonga and some other dude, whatever, in the Quebec League. So back to what we were saying.
I used to watch Stampede, Atlantic Grand Prix with my grandfather. He used to watch
Atlantic Grand Prix, yeah.
Leo Burke and the Beast, and Sweet Daddy Siki and stuff like that.
McCall Group, Outlaw Road Ass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's where I want to see the old stuff. Really, that's.
Yeah. So, but that is what video on demand. That's what online is. You pick and choose what you want to watch. You queue it up.
Yep.
You sit back and enjoy, not, get dictated what it is. It's a different game now. So.
I mean, that's the thing. People are so used to having their own way now with the services that if you try to shove something in, they're like, no, I'm not interested.
Even tonight, right now, the next room, the missus is watching Gilmore Girls again.
Did that start on Netflix today? Because that's all I've friggin' seen on Twitter.
Yeah, well, I think they added a few. I think they added a few more seasons there. So
I don't know. I've just seen all this shit about it on.
Well, there's
Twitter. I don't
there probably was a big increase in wine and chocolate.
I think I'm too overly short of understanding the big deal about it.
Well, having have to sit through most of it there before the first time around, it's all right show. Whatever show.
I'm not knocking it. It's a big hype, and I don't get it.
It's great on mute.
Let's put like I said, there was probably a big influx of wine and chocolate purchases, and a lot of flannel going on. Just flannel, just marathon.
Yeah. I'm more of a Dawson's Creek guy.
I'm a One Tree Hill guy, so. All right, so next story here, we got Alberta, only in Alberta. Shell Station, who was doing like the 30th anniversary being in Alberta, dropped their pump prices to 1984 prices, which was 39.9 cents a liter, which would have been $16 to fill up my car today instead of the.
That would save me $100 to fill up my truck.
Oh yeah, let me do. I didn't do today's math, so let's see. Usually it's 42 liters I put in my car times what is it now? 1.39. Or no, it went down today. But anyway, before it went down or whatever. So.
I'd go for that, but I mean, a lot of times you see the cars lined up right around the block because it's like it's going up 2 or 3 cents tomorrow, and then I'm thinking it's only saving me $2, and I have to sit there for an hour. It's not worth it.
But I tell you, I would have sat in line to get that 39.9 cents a liter.
How's this guy get away with doing that? Like, how's he get away?
I think it was that Shell. Like Shell has the refinery out there. I think that was their anniversary. That was their anniversary thing there. So.
Oh well, real nice of them to do it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad there's no Shell. Actually, I think the nearest Shell refinery is Alberta because they closed the one in Montreal a couple of years ago. So there's really no Shell presence. So we couldn't enjoy the 39.9 cents a liter.
There's a Shell gas station here, but I don't know where they get their fuel.
But the funny thing is that they talk about the 1984 prices. I will love 1998 prices, which was like 59 cents a liter. That's not that far. That's not that long ago.
That was when it was 59 and it went up to 65 and everybody was losing their minds.
Oh yeah.
Just goes to show you the artificially inflated prices they got.
Oh yeah. Nickelback is target of a Stay Away crowdfunding campaign.
This was hilarious.
Oh, this is great. Let me try. I'll try to read it. Keith, did you read it? Can you do the summary on this one, or?
Just basically, somebody put up a crowdfunding campaign that said, if you give us between $1 and $50, we will write. I think it was the tour manager of Nickelback and tell them why they should not come to our city. And apparently, the more money you gave, the more ramped up the letter was. Like, why not to come? And apparently, money's going towards charity too, so it wasn't like this cash grab gimmick thing. But it just made me laugh because that they're going to get so many letters.
Well, Yeah, I don't know what the breakdown of the amounts, but as of Wednesday, they had raised about $250. So
Yeah.
at the most, 250 emails, which would have been $5 would have been a forceful email. $10 is a somewhat explicit email.
Let's get this going, guys. Let's get this get some more people signing
It
up.
just makes me laugh because Nickelback are filthy rich. Nothing's gonna hurt them.
Yeah,
No,
But everybody loves
let's
to
start
hate
a
them. It's
crowdfunding thing to make them break up the band.
well, Chad is doing bad because he's separated from Avril Lavigne. He probably has.
Terrible! Someone who's old enough to be his daughter.
Well, Avril was what, 30? 32 or something like that?
She's
really?
in her late 20s.
Oh, no.
Well, how's
No. I thought Avril Lavigne was because
No, her previous husband is older. The guy from Sum 41, he's in his mid 30s, but he's like 5 or.
Avril turned 30 a couple weeks ago.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Well, how old was he? 40?
Chad or the Sum 41 guy?
Sum 41 guy's like 35 or something.
Sum 42. Man, we suck. Eh? Oh no, Sum 41. Derek Whibley. He's 34.
Yeah, Chad's 39. So I don't know.
Okay.
Well, how old is Chad?
Now.
What's his name? Chad
Kroger, whatever.
I don't know. Yeah. You can tell I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys know. How do you guys spell it? Did you guys are real fans?
Oh, I don't know. I hate Nickelback so much.
Hey, he's 39. So there you
go.
They're everything
that's wrong with. Listen to it after Dawson Street's over.
Yeah, they're everything that's wrong with hard rock.
Well, it just seems sort of soda poppy. I don't know.
All right,
I mean, they sold a lot of albums, so.
They got some alright songs, I suppose. The early ones, when they were talking about dope and stuff before they got all mainstream. Let's do a quick check on comments here. We've got a number of people watching. You can interact with us, folks. Twitter, YouTube, Google+, avoidingchores.com. Lee's going to check avoidingchores.com, and Keith's going to check the YouTube. And just a reminder that the podcast will be ready over the weekend, so make sure you subscribe. We have a number of people subscribe, so it's kind of nice to see the graph going up and up and up every week. So it's good stuff. Let's start with Lee. What you got on Avoiding Chores?
One more comment from Bluefin in regards to the Shell station lowering its prices. He said they were probably still breaking even on the 1984 prices.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
That is probably true, and it is very depressing.
Yeah. Keith, what we got in the...
Average Joe says, I'm a huge hockey fan, but simply F. Rogers. I live in the States. The big cable companies equal garbage. Shout out to Lee as I'm eating some fish and chips. No beer tonight, though.
Right on, Joe.
That's it for new comments.
All right.
No comments tonight.
All right, good stuff. Well, it's funny, Lee. I've been inviting Joe to the hangouts here. He just doesn't want to jump in. He'd rather eat fish and chips.
Here's one more comment from him. He says, you guys should punish yourself for mentioning Nickelback on the show. Shame on you all.
Yeah, Joe, you should piss off, Joe. That's what you should do.
There we go. There it is.
All right, let's move on to the next topic here. Well, one of the last ones. Got a couple last ones here. We talked about this earlier. We kind of hinted about TV, but the CRTC, they've been having their hearings how, the future of TV watching and stuff, and they poo-pooed Netflix, and Netflix didn't want to really give any subscriber info because they don't give subscriber info to anybody. And if CRTC would have Googled Netflix, they would have seen all these stories about how they don't even tell the creators of like House of Cards how many people watch the show. They have no idea. CRTC was going to get that information. So CRTC did, and I don't know if you guys watched the proceedings. I did. It was hilarious. But the CRTC guy, asked Netflix to provide stuff by Monday. Stuff.
Good luck with that, jerk.
Yeah. So they didn't, and CRTC said, we're going to ignore everything you said in the last 2 days or whatever, 2 days of hearings or whatever. So, I don't
Who's
know.
there?
Like,
The people that are there complaining at the hearings, right?
yeah. I don't know. You had this mix of networks, Canadian networks doing their thing, and then you had Netflix and Google, YouTube giving their things. And I think it's fair to say that pretty much all of us here watching in front of the cameras here, we do most of our viewing online, streaming. Very few hours is on traditional TV. I can't even tell you. I might watch the Suppertime News show. Man, if I log 2 hours a week, it'll be like very, very gracious because everything else,
Yeah.
I just watch it online. I just stream it online.
Same here. I catch some of the morning news on Global, and then it's that hell that is Treehouse most of the time, and that's it. But basically, the CRTC thing boils down to not enough competition. There's only two, three big cable providers in Canada. They all charge big prices, and it's basically collusion as far as I'm concerned.
You can directly compare this to big beer versus craft breweries. It's the exact same thing. The smaller companies, the Netflixes, the stuff like that, they're providing the stuff people want. They're providing better quality programming. The old, big, traditional TV guys, they're not keeping up with their times. They're producing shitty shows, shitty content that people don't want to watch. They're ramming it down their throats, and so yeah, they're not changing with the times. You want
to squash the little guy.
Yep, just do better. If you want your people back, do better.
Exactly. So with that being said, though, I will continue to stream live, and I don't care. I will watch what I can. All right, we'll do a quick check on comments. So we'll get Keith to check his YouTube comments because I got notification that you've been skipping through some comments there, Keith.
Well, I keep refreshing and go newest comments first, so I don't know.
All right. So as Keith will refresh his page, we're going to do a new bit, which is the time machine. Basically, we did this last couple times, where we have the stories about, this album is 20 years old and this and that and what have you. Let's just randomly pick a year and just reminisce, because we're all pretty much in that age group, pretty much everybody who's watching. So the year that I picked was randomly picked. I didn't pick it on purpose. Which was 1977. It was a good year.
Not for Elvis.
Not for Elvis. No, he kind of died.
Yeah.
What happened? Star Wars came out, of course. We had Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yep.
Kentucky Fried Movie, which I have not really watched, but I am aware of it.
I've watched it. It's not bad.
James Bond, The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was,
Roger Moore, no. Bye-bye. No.
We had Smokey and the Bandit.
Burt Reynolds, not as peak. Well, I guess probably. But shitty movie period.
Yeah, but that was.
I think when it came out, I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah. That was his peak. But that drive-in era, that was his peak, though.
Yeah, well, his better movies were like Deliverance and Navajo Joe, where he unconvincingly played an Indian, but it was still a better movie than most of the stuff he did.
Oh yeah. Let's see, Saturday Night Fever. Night Fever.
Rather forget about that movie.
Now, forget the movie, but the soundtrack. Wasn't that like the best soundtracks in the late 70s? The LP. I remember having the double 33 RPM LP. Taking it out of the sleeve, putting it on the turntable. Listening to that Beethoven remix. You guys need to play it up, cue it up, yo. It's good stuff.
The 70s are best forgotten, really.
The Rescuers, Disney movie, The Rescuers, which I only watched the little bits that came on the that Sunday night Disney recap show. What else we got here? There was a Bad News Bears movie.
Walter Matthau.
That's right.
Now, was he in this one?
Yeah, he was in the Bad News Bears.
Okay, but this one here is the Bad News Bears.
It was so not politically correct. It was. You go back and watch it. How did they get away with that?
And also they lost at the end.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
They would not make a movie like that today at all.
I don't remember that at all.
Check it out. Yeah.
But in terms of other types of news from 1977, British Airways did the first Concorde flight. And as Lee mentioned here, Elvis Presley died.
I do remember that very vaguely. I just knew it was a big thing in the news.
Apple introduces the Apple II computer.
Wow.
There was the New York blackout, which was I think 25 hours of New York City not having any power in July.
Wasn't that still around the time that the Son of Sam was running around killing people?
Well, I was trying to scroll down my list here too, but yes, that was when they caught Son of Sam.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see, what else we got here? The first MRI scanner was tested in Brooklyn. So that was big. MRI. Let's see, what else we got? Let's do a quick, what happened in music? We did the Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, we want music though, Jim.
Yeah. Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, was released.
Okay, yeah. Sex Pistols, their album. Never mind the Bullocks. Elvis Costello, My Aim Is True.
Yeah, wow, that's the underground stuff. Sure, more the non-mainstream stuff. Yeah.
Iggy Pop the Idiot, one of his best solo records.
Bohemian Rhapsody, named best single of the last 25 years. Happened in 1977. Hey, The Police, Van Halen, and Midnight Oil signed record contracts that year, along with the Cars and Devo.
Huh. Yeah, some of them never made it big till, 80s, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Van Halen got started right away. Same thing with Police.
The Clash, they had their first album in 77.
Let's do a quick check on comments, guys, to see if what else people are reminiscing about 1977. We'll get Keith to refresh there.
Yep. Let's see here. I refreshed it again. Let's see. Average Joe says, Lee, it's ridiculous you guys don't even have the ability to purchase the network for $9.99 and watch stuff whenever you want on almost any device. He's talking about the WWE network, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Which is how it is in the U.S., much like Netflix. No idea why they thought it was a good idea to make a deal with Rogers. I think they're doing the same in Europe. Ass backwards, in my opinion. And I agree.
Yeah, and that's why. Yeah, and that's why for Netflix, I will spend an extra $5 to VPN and get me a US IP address so that I can just get the American Netflix and be done with it.
You don't even have to spend money, Jim. You can just use Hola for frig's sakes. The program Hola, you could just use that. It's easy as pie.
We stream it through the Apple TV too, so I don't know. That'll work for that. But
Kids, steal Netflix. Use Hola.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, right here.
Jason
Any other comments?
Hi guys. Sorry I'm late. Having a homebrew Simcoe IPA.
All right, Jason.
GC Storm says Leo Burke and the Beast were brothers as they used to show draft horses at the Maritime Winter Fair. I think a lot of those guys from Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling from the Memramcook Valley area that produced quite a few local wrestlers.
Yeah.
He also says it only costs about 50 cents to fill a vehicle with gas in Venezuela. I believe that. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Beer Guy Review says, I would pay for Nickelback to spontaneously combust.
That would be nice.
Yes. Yeah, a couple more comments here. I don't know why, but the comments are not coming up.
They're not coming up automatically. You have to.
Some nights I find them better than others, and tonight's not a good night.
Okay.
I think the recent update Google did is kind of screwing things, because I'm not even getting like regular invites and stuff on my Google Plus. It's like I have to actually go into my Google Plus page and see the invite on my timeline or whatever.
Yeah, that's probably it, because I've never had this problem before. A couple more comments from Average Joe. It says, I'll have to join at some point, Jim. Just usually don't have the time on Friday nights. I try to watch as often as I can, though. Also, I hate you, Lee. And he also says, I agree with you, Keith. In the States, I'm glad the Time Warner Comcast merger didn't go through. It definitely would have been collusion to the highest power. That's all I see right now.
All right, good. We're sticking it to the man tonight. And I think that's a good point to close it off for another Friday night, kids. We got an hour in. We usually try to cap it at an hour. So I'd like to thank all the commenters commenting tonight on the various platforms. I'd like to thank my panel, too. We do this every Friday, and we're going to do this again next Friday. We'll do, just before we go there, Lee, is there any last-minute comments on your end? Since we did,
just one from Bluefin. He says, Nickelback and Michael Jackson are very, very similar. Nobody likes them, but they sold out a lot of concerts and sold a lot of records and CDs, so apparently someone likes them.
All right, you got anything else, or?
No, that's it.
All right, perfect. All right, good stuff, guys. So again, reminder, podcast version, and for you guys to subscribe to the podcast, listen to it, and give us some feedback, and we might apply it on the show. Or do you want something else on the podcast? Do you want a little bit more production or music, or what else you want to do? So leave me your comments, yo. And before we go, got anything to plug? Keith, you got anything to plug?
No, I just don't even know which way's up these days, so no, not yet.
All right, ask you in a couple of weeks. Lee, you got anything to plug?
If anyone's interested, if they're familiar with my YouTube page with my beer reviews and stuff, I'm also doing a movie podcast now. Hope to have one up every week or so. So if you go there and check out my page, you'll see every once in a while a video pop up with a movie podcast I do with my friend Daniel Harper, mostly. So.
All right, perfect. So you can find him on YouTube /L Harlock.
Yeah.
So you can check that out. All right, perfect. Thanks, Lee. All right, with that, kids, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much, panel. Again, thank you, commenters. Thank you, viewers. We'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you later.